Hello, Wastelanders. I've just gotten word that you need another settlement's help. 3 more settlements to be exact, and Lucy McLean from Vault 33 is here to show them to you. As you probably know, it's very useful, especially on survival difficulty, to have a settlement near the mecca of Diamond City. And most players rely on Hangman's Alley for this, but that settlement is woefully cramped. Thankfully, a prime location for your next Diamond City adjacent settlement community has opened up at the Boston Police Rationing Site thanks to a mod by Mr. Funeral. If you've ever visited the site before, you know that it includes some environmental storytelling and terminal entries about the desperation people felt on the eve of the war as they rushed in huge crowds to the militarized police rationing site for emergency supplies, waiting in impossibly long lines only to find that the understocked site had few rations to give. A riot ensued as the bombs dropped and everything descended into chaos. But now the Boston Police Rationing Site has a new story. It houses a medical clinic and a Minuteman garrison that finally help it live up to its pre-war promise of offering aid and safety to those in need. After being checked in and triaged, visitors are seen by a trained doctor in the clinic. Thankfully, the pre-war modular portables were in remarkably good shape and make a sanitary space for surgery. Extra bunks in the Minutemen sleeping quarters allow patients to have a safe and supervised recovery. Outside, we find a small courtyard area where Minutemen and people from the clinic can relax. And nearby, a general goods merchant for those in need of a resupply. Surprisingly, these scaffolding stairs ahead of us take us up to the deck of a boat that was being transported on a flatbed rail car here and has been turned into a lookout station manned by Minutemen. Boats like this one can be found in the settlement objects added by CVC Dead Wasteland. The position has good visibility, room for supplies, and a cabin that keeps the guards comfortable. If you'd like to have a garrison like this at your settlement, Constructable Guards by Nanami Final Fantasy XIV has you covered, whichever playable main faction you choose. As helpful as a Minuteman garrison and a clinic are, now it's time to see what the Boston Police Rationing Site has truly blossomed into. Here, so close to the bustling population of Diamond City, crowds of people come through the gates every week to get something they can't find anywhere else. Diamond City has shops and security and doctors and drinks, but the former Boston Police Rationing Site is the only place to find the amazing experience of a professional theater production. That's right, the Silver Shroud Theater has been established in the old warehouse building, and every week it puts on performances of plays and musicals to a packed house. Pre-war favorites and post-war originals are seen here by those lucky enough to score one of the coveted tickets. Purified water is available, food and refreshments are sold, and as Lucy's special guests, we are going to get a peek behind the curtain, so to speak, and see where the magic happens. We can see the instruments used by talented musicians to perform the musical score, trunks with props, and, in case of fire, the fire department model Protectron is on standby. Of course, despite the screened partition here, this isn't enough space for major costume changes or actors to wait in the wings. Instead, actors pass through this door and manage their costumes and cues from the blue boxcar outside. The blue boxcar houses most of the costumes and accessories for whichever production is currently showing. It also serves as the living quarters for the theater's tailors, and its modest kitchen is known to provide the occasional meal for cast members between scenes. The Silver Shroud Theater is a tight-knit community of thespians, musicians, stage builders, and writers who, interestingly, was first formed by a group of Silver Shroud fans. The dramatic radio program, broadcast by Kent Connolly out of Goodneighbor, inspired the group to find a place where theater could live again in the Commonwealth, and that dream led them here. So as we ascend the stairs to the upstairs pub and dance hall, you won't be surprised to find that it is called the Shroud's Lair. You also won't be surprised to hear that after every show, it is a boisterous gathering place where audience and cast can mingle and celebrate another magical production. Memorabilia bravely nabbed from Huber's Comics by Lucy adorns the lair, and on special occasions the lower theater seating is cleared for dancing. Things get so energetic that the party can be heard echoing down streets for blocks around as guests dance and carouse on 2 floors at once. Let's descend the stairs and take a look at the rest of the community that makes such celebrations possible. we'll find that we can pass through the wings of the stage to a back entrance that is used, like the side door out to the blue boxcar, for cast to enter and exit during some productions. Out this rear door, we'll find the living quarters of the minstrels, dancers, playwrights, and actors who bring the theater's productions to life. But the first thing on our left is the same industrial generator that powered the rationing site back in the pre-war, restored now to once again keep the lights on. Panning around the grounds, we catch a glimpse of the junk fence that guards the theater and housing from attack. Most of the train cars still resting on their tracks, and one flatbed on the far side has been converted into a large shack for several residents. This is by far the biggest living structure at the settlement. Most of the dwellings, as you can see, are very simple. As we tour the larger shack, you'll see why it dwarfs the others. Going inside, we can see that the shack has a kitchen area out back. It has a pantry with more than enough food, just a couple of simple beds, and a nice seating area outside where we can see the outhouse accessible through a door in the wall. On top of the shack is a guard post, but none of that explains why this is a larger, better stocked home than the rest. If Codsworth will kindly move out of the way, you'll see that this building exits onto the train bridge and serves as a shelter for the guards that patrol the bridge. This is an important post as the bridge covers a road from which either travelers or attackers could come. The bridge guard also serves to keep an eye on a raider encampment across from the settlement. An uneasy truce exists with the raiders there, and they even trade with the settlement on occasion, but the guards stay watchful in the raiders' direction. So as you can see, defensively, the bridge is very important. But the other reason why the bridge house, as the large residence is called, is bigger than most, is that a few times a year, the theater puts on a large production free of charge here, using the flatbed on the bridge as a stage. Huge crowds can gather to watch from the roadway below, and the whole production is supported and coordinated from the bridge house, which becomes a temporary backstage during these famous, ambitious outdoor shows. You'll get another look at the bridge as we go up to take in the settlement build parameters. Notice that the roadway below the bridge is public use, so only the bridge is buildable. And there is some unused area in this current build, lots of potential for your own designs. The Boston side of the warehouse is a little tighter, and the settlement only runs up to the chain link fence there. I chose to handle security along the rocky wall with the tall lookout position of the boat, but you could build fencing all along it if you chose. There is lots of available ground, but the build ceiling is pretty low in this settlement, so you won't be installing any skyscrapers. Overall, I found this site, with its pre-war story, large warehouse, unique bridge section, proximity to Diamond City, and cool railway theme, to be a lot of fun to build on. I can only imagine that you viewers will find a million great ways to use a canvas as unique as this one. Well, that's one settlement down, so buckle up for number 2 because its residents also put on a show, but they are nothing alike. You'll have to forgive Lucy's abrupt change of costume. She's not in a play, but to visit this next settlement, she's going to have to do a bit of acting to pass for one of its residents. You see, here at Charles View Amphitheater, the pillars of the community have been toppled, and a new cult has taken its place. The fiery reception at the gates is a clue that the new residents have a bit of a thing with flames. The Sunflare cult from unique raider gangs and patrols by Precisiontacos has taken over management of Charles View, thanks to Charles View Amphitheater's settlement with Recruitable cult by Tenhats.
To what deeds will monuments be erected now?
Well, it's out with the old and in with the worse. The pillars of the community were creepy, sure, but it was a subtle creepy. There's nothing subtle about a cult of pyromaniacs. Predictably, they use fire for lighting almost exclusively here, and all their weapons are designed to roast you. The settlement won't be attacked from the water unless some mirelurks want to get boiled, so most of the defenses can concentrate on the street side. With a canal running through the middle of much of the settlement, it's no surprise they've had to put their shacks over the water, which can be useful, having so much water handy when every wooden hut here is full of flames and fuel like a match waiting to be struck. The weapons merchant is a bit of a specialist. Ballistics and energy weapons don't involve enough fire for the likes of the Sun Cult, so you'll out yourself as a non-believer pretty fast if you go shopping for 308 ammo. But flammables and fuels, igniters and incendiaries, they have aplenty. Now, Charles View was always a spot for couples, and it still has a scenic cobbled pathway lined with park benches and perfect for a romantic evening stroll. But if you're going to get frisky in Sunflare territory, be warned that you'd better be willing to date a smoker, and hot wax is only first base. You might be wondering how all the trees haven't been cut down yet for firewood. But the Charles View Sunflare cult keeps itself supplied by boat. Thanks to its waterway access, it can trade or raid far and wide for gas, oil, napalm, and other combustibles. They keep the trees here standing, partly as backup fuel, and partly as a flex. You see, they're all about perception. Being terrifying wins most battles before they even start, and when you need to lure a few flies into your burning web, it helps if the setting is attractive. Hence the trees and the pyrotechnics. The gates to the settlement are watched, but they are also open. At night, the fire show draws in a few gawkers that come to celebrate around the pyre. Many of them are never heard from again. Maybe they joined the Sunflare cult. Maybe they didn't. Either way, they got an impressive show. The shed to the left of the main stage houses the control board for the light show, and a stockpile of tires for burning. Having dressed the part, Lucy should be able to take us backstage without being challenged, but out front, the ground is littered with people who weren't so lucky. That's what's left of the pillars of the community. And when one of them gets tossed on the bonfire, the joke around here goes that they are the pyres of the community. What do you want? It's not like they do stand-up on this stage. Heading back, Lucy gets a hard look from the high-ranking cultist up at the pulpit, but is allowed into the inner sanctum where things aren't so different than they were under the last regime. Just a lot more fire. Fire is at the center of everything here. Not just the literal center like this raging tire fire that never goes out, but also at the gates, where guards pack flamers and shish kebabs and wield them to terrible effect. Life at this settlement isn't all that different than most, though. They have a place to pick up some hot food. They really don't eat anything cold.
Hello, neighbor.
The food vendor's greeting might sound familiar, because it is. Tenhats mod makes settlers who appear in response to the recruitment beacon spawn in as cultists. A very nice touch. The settlement has a general goods trader because almost anything is flammable if you're brave enough.
I hope you decide to change a life today.
Like I said, very nice touch. And here in the former Pillar's main office, not much has changed except that there are a lot more oxyacetylene tanks around. And as we go into the leader's bedroom, you might be tempted to ask why there are gasoline tanks. Don't. Lucy made that mistake earlier, just don't ask. Back outside, there is more to see. As we come around the building, we can find that the cultists have managed to get their hands on a military-grade rocket engine. No telling what they might be planning for that. And as we climb to the roof, we find that the power generator for the settlement is a windmill, accelerated with a sunflare twist. Just remember, with these guys, efficiency is rarely the point. We have one more set of stairs to climb for a look at some of the settlement's defenses, so let's get to it. The settlement guards must be in good shape after patrolling the stairs all day, but it's worth it to get such a strategic view of the surrounding area. I hope you'll forgive me for extending our tour slightly, but I'd be remiss not to show you how this place looks at night. The amphitheater is lit up like a beacon, and chem-addled raiders or curious travelers can't seem to help but wander into the gates for a look. For some, it's the last thing they'll ever see, but for us, there's one more stop. So let's take a look at the build parameters of Charles View Amphitheater before we move on. The borders can basically be taken in at a glance, so we'll keep this brief. Thank you, Brave Lucy. It's time to visit a settlement that is more conventional, but no less dangerous. If you've ever visited the Revere Satellite Array with its horde of super mutants, or Revere Beach Station with its infestation of raiders, you know how hazardous that area of the map can get, and you probably agree that the large fenced property of Reeb Marina, with its water access, many large buildings, useful workbenches, and interesting backstory, seemed like a wasted opportunity for a secure settlement and trader rest stop in the midst of all that danger. Well, Tarsus 33 and Yagisan agree, and they have gifted us with a settlement workbench here to claim this excellent spot as our own. Imagine entering this oasis as an exhausted caravan guard who's just fought off ghouls at the National Training Yard, super mutants at the Satellite Array, and you've been promising yourself ever since you left that pathetic campfire at County Crossing that if you can just get this Brahmin safely to Reeb Marina, you'll be in for a treat. Now you're here, where covered beds await your tired bones, where a purified water station is ready to slake your parched throat, and it is only a few steps to reach the stocked clinic where they will treat your wounds. After you're patched up, maybe you'll visit the armor merchant to patch up your punctured leather shoulder armor. But you're safe now, and that can wait. The clinic is always a comforting sight, but it's the view from the beach that you've been waiting for.
Oh, la-di-da-di-da-di-diddly dumpling.
A few hours here is going to do you a world of good. Not only does the breeze coming off the water feel good on your skin, Reeb Marina has a shower just for arriving caravans, where you can peel off your filthy, blood-stained clothes and feel human again. Every time you walk along this serene pier on the back of the property, you tell yourself that one day you're going to save up enough to move here, maybe buy a stake in the robot repair shop or the bar, and live out your days here in peace. Trudging the roads of the Commonwealth, you've seen worse places. Far worse. Reeb Marina has a desalinator. The old trawler still gets along well enough to keep everyone supplied by water if a caravan doesn't make it through. Maybe you should see if they need a deckhand. Couldn't be worse than marching and fighting for a living. The people here always seem friendly, and they seem to have it pretty figured out. Lots of settlements out there don't even have any power. But these folks, they've rigged up an impressive windmill that the sea breeze almost always keeps turning. They must have power to spare.
My back hurts, my feet hurts, everything hurts.
And no traders can afford not to stop here. Why would they skip the only port in the storm? So merchants like the weapons dealers stay busy and stay stocked up. They do so well they even have hobbies. The weapons guy almost has his old bike fixed up. Closest thing to a hobby most caravan guards have is sharpening knives. But hey, maybe that resume could land you a spot with security here. They scrap occasionally, but at least they go back to a real bed when the day is over. There must be plenty of guards who want to land a gig here. But it's still worth a try. Now we've been imagining this moment in the life of a caravan guard, but Reeb Marina is a haven for others too. Its pre-war background as a robotic marina helped it become an important robotics repair shop, serving a large area, so it attracts customers but also talented engineers and technicians. The marina also has a Minuteman barracks. They aren't officially settlement security, but they patrol the surrounding area, and everyone knows they can't attack the settlement without tangling with some active duty Minutemen. The prosperity of this spot brings in more than just shops to fix and hawk hardware. Traders of all kinds come through, and shops like Janet's Garment Boutique do well. The beating heart of the marina is inside the big shop doors, though, where almost anything that needs fixing or fabricating can be done for the right price. And being a resident has its perks. Communal facilities like the kitchen area have working appliances, and the bathrooms have working plumbing. No one in the post-war Commonwealth would take these features for granted. Except maybe those folks in Vault 81, or the Institute, if it really exists. As mentioned, the kitchen has running water and working appliances to spoil the residents. Reeb Marina does have a dark history, though. Eugene here was murdered by reprogrammed Mr. Handies on his birthday. The legend goes that if he is disturbed, he'll haunt the place, so people figured better safe than sorry and left him as he lay. Everything we've seen so far is a necessary part of what makes Reeb Marina a vital settlement. The facilities, the repair bay, the security, the shops, the clinic. But whether you're a guard, a deckhand, a mechanic, or a trader, everyone in Reeb Marina has a story at low tide. And by low tide, I mean the bar at Reeb Marina called Low Tide. Guests coming into Low Tide check their weapons at the door, and then all are welcome. Low Tide offers visitors food, drinks, pool, and, if the protect run will get out of the way, atmosphere. That's Max at the bar, and if she's in a chatty mood, she can tell you that Reeb Marina had a small crab shack on site before the war, and it was a test site for Vim's Captain's Blend. It's an acquired taste, but there's still some of the stuff around the place.
Got work to do. Can't talk now.
Patrons of the bar can pass time at the tables, prying other people's secrets out of Max, or even watching old holotapes of Cooper Howard films on the Radiation King TV in the corner. Traders with extra caps to burn can head up to High Tide, the red lounge on the second floor where the top shelf drinks and company can be found. The tour wouldn't be complete without a stop there ourselves, so we'll follow Lucy up. We can only speculate what kind of entertainment is on offer here since we've arrived before business hours, but the upper walkway leading from the lounge to the VIP room will also let us out onto the roof to visit the sleeping quarters for some of the regular Reeb Marina residents. The upper floor of the main shop building is where some residents lay their heads. It can be accessed here or by stairs to the roof off the back patio. The Avery family lives here, and the other marina employees bunk down together at the far end. That about does it for the settlement tour, so Lucy will show us the settlement boundaries for Tarsus and Yagisan's Reeb Marina settlement. You'll notice that at this settlement you can build a little bit out beyond the fence line, and you can build out into the water line a little bit as well. So there's some room for expansion here, and you might be able to have some real fun with it. On the far side of the settlement, there's even a little bit of room to build up onto the collapsed freeway, but not a lot, so do with that what you can. I'll try to show you where this borderline is, but it can be a little bit difficult to see against the concrete. I stayed inside the fence, but it's nice not to be cut off right at the fence line, and I know that means some of you creative viewers will come up with uses for the street area that I didn't think of. But I do hope you enjoyed the tours. Hopefully they gave you some ideas for how the spaces could be filled with your own builds. If you liked the video that you are still watching almost 25 minutes later, leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you want to hang out with me and some of the other Fallout fans, check out my live streams here on YouTube. We'd love to see you there. Later, Raiders, and I'll see you in the next one.